What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video. I've got some alfalfa sprouting here. I grow my sprouts in relatively large containers. I start them in smaller containers and then I transplant them to larger glass bowls like this. I like to use clear glass because the clear glass obviously lets light in to the container. And if you look, let's see if I can find some. I've done a pretty good job of rotating this. If you have a dark bowl instead of clear, for instance, you'll see a lot of, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but you can see how some of the chlorophyll hasn't developed yet. A lot of this is yellow, and that's because the stuff in the middle doesn't get much light. So I constantly turn the sprouts so that all of the chlorophyll will develop like you're seeing on the screen right now, and there's not a whole lot of yellow like that. So I turn everything around once or twice a day so light gets in. But if you have a dark bowl, guys, the light's really not going to get in. Catch my drift? So use clear glass to grow your sprouts in, and then constantly, or I wouldn't say constantly, so not the appropriate or correct word to use. Once or twice a day, just come and turn your sprouts around so that all of the yellow eventually gets exposed to the light, so that the sprouts that you have when you eat them have a large charge of chlorophyll in them. So this is true with pretty much any sprout. Broccoli, clover, radish, fenugreek, etc. You want to constantly move it so it gets more light. So just a brief little tip. Sprouts are one of the most simple foods. One of the healthiest foods, in my opinion. Some people say that they're not healthy at all. I don't know where they're basing that logic from, or lack of logic, because sprouts are absolutely incredible. I first got into sprouting when I read a book towards the end of high school by Ann Wigmore called The Sprouting Book. I think that's what it's called. You can still get that book. It's available online on Amazon for relatively cheap. I read that book and then immediately started sprouting mung beans and alfalfa especially. And then one thing led to another, and I started, sprouting the lentils and the sunflower and the clover and the radish and the fenugreek. So the beautiful thing about sprouting, you guys, is it's super easy. It takes hardly any time. So all this bullshit about, I can't afford to eat healthy. Man, everything's at the store is toxic. What am I going to do? Well, you can get a 1 pound bag of alfalfa if you shop right for less than $10. And you can make giant amounts of alfalfa sprouts. You can do the same with clover. Clover and alfalfa are really cheap. Radish is cheap. Pretty much all sprouts are cheap, you guys. You can even go into the store, like a supermarket, and buy lentils and throw them in water and sprout them. Oftentimes when you buy seeds that are marketed or advertised as sprouting seeds, you pay a little bit more because of the markup. But you can take beans from the store and sprout them, mung beans, chickpeas, lentils. There's so many options. Now, obviously, this isn't what my diet's based on. It's not like I'm getting all of my calories from this. But I try to eat large amounts of sprouts on a regular basis simply because of the enzyme count. And this is real food that you grew with your own hands, you guys. There's a spiritual connection that you harbor when you grow food. That you have a spiritual connection to the food that you grow, So, sprouts from the store, on top of that, you never want to eat sprouts from the store. You buy them in these plastic containers, and the people that work at those stores leave the sprouts in those containers for days on end and never wash them. Sprouts need to be continuously washed or rinsed. You can't just spray them, you guys. So sprouts at the store, like for instance, Safeway will have sprouts in these little plastic containers, and the Safeway has these little misters that come on in the produce department every maybe 45 minutes, but it gets the sprouts wet, but it doesn't rinse them. So there's this scare that's been spread around the web for years now about how sprouts are toxic. If you get them, you're going to get sick. Never buy sprouts. That's because the sprouts people are eating when they get sick are sprouts from the store. They're not rinsed. They're dirty. You ever open up a thing of alfalfa from Safeway or from a supermarket and it's all slimy? Sprouts should never look like that. So you really should never even eat sprouts if you're buying them from the store, you guys, because you're asking for trouble. bacteria build up, etc. But like this is, you can't get cleaner than this, you guys. That alfalfa, I remember telling you guys a while back that I water all my sprouts with shungite water. There's a large hunk of shungite in here. This is clean, double filtered water with minerals in it and a chunk of shungite. You think that the sprouts at the store or the produce at the store is being fed water like this? Of course not. The produce at the store, you guys, is being fed water filled full of chlorine, chloramines, disinfectant byproducts, algicides, cobalt, radioactive constituents, runoff, inorganic calcium, lime, toxic, corrosive, accumulative buildup from the pipes that the water rushes through as it's fed to the machines that feed the store-bought produce. It's absolutely disgusting. So, sprouting offers you a unique opportunity where you can, for less than $20, you guys, begin growing your own food. If you have one of these, it's called a fucking window, you can start doing this. So, one piece to my health system that I teach is the importance of gardening, right? The importance of not just buying food from the store, but creating your own food with your own hands and your time and your effort and interaction with the soil and the element of earth. This is the easiest way to start that, because you don't even need soil unless you want to turn some of these into microgreens like the sunflower. 90% of the sprouts that I eat, I grow them like this. I don't actually plant them. So you'll see the seed caps there. In an upcoming video, I'm going to show you guys how to remove those. The store does not remove those seed caps, the little brown pieces. And that's why store-bought sprouts taste so funky. Essentially, in a large bowl like this, you fill it almost all the way to the top with water, right? And then you pick up the sprouts while they're in the water and you kind of move them around, and then you shake the bed of sprouts like this, and the majority of the seed caps will rise to the top, and then you can just rinse them off. You do that like 3 or 4 times and you'd be surprised at how clean these sprouts get. And it's not that the seed caps are necessarily bad for you, they just taste kind of funky. So, again, real food. We're designed to eat real food, you guys. We're not designed to constantly eat all this shit that they want us to eat. You know, there's a reason why there's a fast food place around every corner. There's a reason why nowhere, regardless of where you go, you can't escape all of the toxic food. It's everywhere. It's plastered on billboards. It's all over the television. It's, you know, in downtown areas, there's restaurants everywhere that will give you exactly what you want, regardless of how bad it is for you, any time of day, as long as they're open. Catch my drift? So, you know, it all requires your participation, however. You can indeed unplug from the madness of all of this, the forward momentum of all of it, the, you know, inertia, or let's just stay on point, excuse me. You don't have to engage in it. Simple. Very simple, guys. So look at all this. So sprouts, as well as they at least the alfalfa. Sorry guys, I gotta rinse this really quick. The alfalfa will kind of dreadlock. See how it kind of locks into a ball? You can effectively loosen all of that and you'll get more light in. And on top of that, because a lot of the stuff in this bowl is kind of dreadlocked, these pieces of alfalfa, it looks a lot smaller, the volume of sprouts, than there actually is. In reality, there's almost double of all of this. It's just compacted. So anyways, you guys, brief little sprout rant. I'm gonna wrap this one up. Start sprouting. Get some cheap ball jars and some cheap organic seeds online. What are you waiting for? Oh, and if you want some shungite, let me know and I'll hook you up.